CrossFitter project days, shoot, 5 through 8 recap now. So a lot of interesting developments since we talked last. So first, I almost tripped up again. You know, habits die hard. I was with my family. We were celebrating my mom's birthday, and we were at my parents' house. And my little brother Chris um, was volunteering to help prepare the food for our evening dinner together. And he asked everybody if they wanted to have some steak. And without even thinking, I just said sure. And then it didn't even occur to me that I'd made an error until we were all sitting down to eat, and that's when it dawned on me, like, oh man. He went out of his way, he made a steak for me, and I didn't even realize what I had said until I would sit there at the table staring down at the food. So it was interesting is like one of the little sub goals I'd had for myself in this project was that I didn't want to become that vegetarian or that very plant-based person who goes around telling everybody about being plant-based and extolling its virtues at every opportunity. I didn't want to be that guy. And so up until this point, I'd spend the majority of the day with my family, and we'd eaten at Denny's together, and the subject of my being a vegetarian for this month had not even come up. It was not a thing at all. And this error that I made was the first time where I had to then stop what I was doing and explain to my family, hey, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I'm doing this experiment with my diet for this month, and I'm going to have to take a pass on the steak, so let me share this back with you guys. And then the peer pressure definitely hit. I don't know if it's peer pressure with your family, but all of them, my mom in particular, were like, oh, come on, like, you can make an exception for this one meal. And I'm like, I'm sorry guys, I really can't, because I've committed to this process and I'm committed with a group of other people. So just hold on the meat and I'll enjoy all the rest of the food here. It was really pretty awkward, and put some strain on the family and the relationships for a minute there. So that was an obstacle I had to overcome. Once that initial awkwardness passed, everything was okay, but it was definitely an adjustment for me, getting used to saying no to meat, especially steak, which is delicious. So that's the first thing. The second is that I've noticed that over the days, as the week advanced, that I have this mounting, this accumulating achiness in my body, throughout my muscles, throughout my joints, and that is new. I'm definitely not used to that. My muscles are stiffer than they usually are, and at first I wasn't sure if there's, hey, the workouts this week really got me or whatever, but now, several days in, I have to say that I'm pretty confident that this is not normal for me. It's not normal for my muscles and my joints to be this achy this often, and it's definitely not, I definitely do not feel the same way that I usually do in terms of how good my body feels right now. And I have a couple of different hypotheses as to why this might be. And one hypothesis is as good as another at this point. My first is that when I took meats out and I introduced other sources of protein, my body is not super efficient at metabolizing those proteins for rebuilding broken down muscle tissue in the wake, in the aftermath of very rigorous, very trying workouts like CrossFit workouts. So I think that's one hypothesis that might explain why I'm not necessarily recovering as well or as quickly from workouts as I'm used to. The second going hypothesis is that when I moved meats out of my nutrition, I also moved grains in. For the first time in a very long time, reintroduced grains into my diet. And another going hypothesis I have for how I'm feeling right now is that it might be a accumulating inflammatory response of the body to the presence of grains. I eat about 7 times a day, and 3 of the meals have some form of grains. It's primarily rice. There was a bread in one of the meals also. So I'm thinking it is possible, I can't rule it out, that maybe what I'm experiencing is this accumulating inflammation in the body because of the presence of grains now. And so that is why I feel achier and stiffer than usual. So regardless of whichever of the two these are, I'm going to be making some adjustments to my nutrition in this coming week. I'm going to take my grains down from 2 meals to from 3 meals to 2 meals. I'm phasing the bread out entirely. I'll keep the rice for this week and assess the impact, but I'm going to move like all vegetables and fruits into the place of the breads that I had with my meal number 2 throughout the past week, and see if that makes a difference in how I feel. Now, not a perfect experiment, but simultaneously I'm going to up my protein at that meal number 2 also, because I was running about half the amount of protein I was used to at that second meal. I'm going to double it so I have the normal amount of protein that I'm used to, and see how that impacts me. Another interesting note, a couple weeks ago I started experiencing some like joint swelling, redness around some of my fingers, my digital joints, especially like that second joint right here of the fingers, and that has it was kind of status quo, just kind of there, not really an issue. In the last like 3 or 4 days, it's like exacerbated in a way that's very surprising to me. You can kind of see in this finger here some of the redness, the swelling going on there, and it itches like a mother effer. No idea what this is, aside from some kind of inflammatory response, some kind of negative sequelae to some change in the diet. So I think that's another possible negative reaction to the introduction of grains to my diet. We'll see. I'll be able to better assess shortly here for that impact. What else? I guess that's a pretty solid recap. I'm making some adjustments, some fine-tuning in the program, and let's see how it goes from here. One really positive note though, I did my heavy squatting day yesterday, and I was able to perform as well, or even maybe a touch better than I had in the last week. So it's a positive sign that maybe my pure strength is at least holding par with where it was before. So that's positive. At least, you know, one sign of a positive strength thing. Anyway, that's it for now. Have a beautiful, blessed day, guys. Talk to you in the next video.